Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by our friends at Time to Pet and Pet Perennials. How do you go about creating raving fans? And how can we, as a business, deliver premium client experiences that blow them away? Today, we're really excited to have Candace D'Agnolo, owner of Pet Boss Nation, to dive into the art of fostering genuine connections with our clients. She shares how it's not all just about big and amazing things. It's about the personalized small touches, our attention to detail that really blows away our clients. Candace also shares how to use AI in our business in constructive ways to, again, further and deepen those relationships and focus on the people that make all of this possible. Let's get started.
Well, thanks so much, Colin, for having me back. I love getting a chance to talk about pet businesses and small businesses. It's a passion of mine, as I know is yours. And so thank you so much for having me here. If you don't know who I am, I'm a former brick and mortar business owner in the Chicago market, and I had a dog walking business also for a little bit, including my doggy daycare. And I realized at some point in my career that I loved coaching small business, or not even coaching it because I wasn't coaching at the time. I realized I loved talking about small business more than talking about why your dog has gas or like why your dog might be jumping on you. And so when I knew that I was going to still have a long career in the pet industry, I just wanted to kind of shape what that looked like. And I decided to get into the, coaching world because I knew that there were so many pet business owners who are passionate about what they do, but they maybe didn't have the business experience or weren't, needed some help. And so I had invested heavily in professional development and learning all the science side of the things because the art side came really easy to me. And so I needed to learn more about, pricing and finance and cash flow and all that stuff and even managing people, right? Like that's just those are learned skills. I feel like people are not naturally great employers. You have to learn how to be one. So anyway, I took all that knowledge and we launched Pet Boss Nation 8 years ago. It's been 8 years. I can't believe it. So 8 years ago this month. And now, I like to say we're like, it is a professional development company, and we help over 350 small businesses across the United States and Canada, a couple in Europe, through our group coaching programs, and it's really focused on sales and marketing and leadership. And I just try to bring everybody together to support them so that they don't feel so isolated and alone, and understand that. Sure, we all face the same challenges, but I all have challenges. A lot of them are the same, actually, but they don't have to stay a challenge. There are things that you can do to change your story, change your situation, and improve. So
yeah, always something to do, and I think that's one of the. It's both like really comforting and also pretty daunting to realize, like, oh man, there's always something else. Like you could take it from the perspective of this. Oh, I'm inundated, kind of avalanche of stuff. But I think what you work on a lot of is getting that mindset into you can always try one more thing.
Oh, right? You can always. I cannot take credit for this because I just heard it last night. I love it. It's where my dear friend says it, and it was version 1 is better than version none. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you can continue to reiterate it and try and test things out. But yeah, to your point, like it can always feel like there's so many things to do. I think one of our big skill sets here is helping people like just pull back all of the things that are an option and really do the things that are going to make like the biggest improvement or traction for you for whatever challenge it is that you're facing. Right, prioritization is key.
Yeah, well, and sometimes that comes in direct competition or opposition, I guess, to some of our own personal preferences.
Oh, right.
I don't know where I may really like a thing in the business, or I may really be really passionate about something, but it might not be attracting the clients that I want or that I need. How do we start working through that kind of friction that we encounter?
Well, I think, for it, it's about getting back into alignment with like, what's your goal? Like, why are you doing this? What's the plan here? Why have you started a business for yourself? Is it usually it's to either be your own boss or to hopefully make a better income. Although a lot of times I know we start by doing this and then realize we're making way less doing this than we did at our other jobs, but that doesn't always stay that way, right? We can make good money as a small business owner. But I think it's just, helping. You have to really be aware of if this is like a shiny object, right? Is this the squirrel that's going to take a lot of time away from me, right? The time away from me, or resources away from my team, or is it going to take more money than I think it's actually going to take? And if I were to just pick up the phone or send a couple emails to clients that I haven't booked in like 3 months, if that would actually result in some more immediate impact in cash, like would that be a better use of my time?
Yeah.
It's really easy to start to think, because we see things that other pet businesses do and we compare ourselves to them constantly. I mean, I do it constant, and I do it. I mean, I
Yeah.
look at you guys and I'm like, they produce 2 podcasts a week. What? Like, I can do that. For the Pet Boss podcast, it's like, no, that's not a priority for mine. That is what they must really enjoy this more than I do. I don't know.
Oh.
But the point is, we compare ourselves a lot to people, and then I'm sure you've heard this, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's just as being, I think, very self-aware of where we get pulled, distracted, where we maybe have made decisions in the past that have derailed us. And so I think it's just really remembering, just to get back to your original question here, it's remembering what is your goal, what's your priority, what are you really trying to do here, and what's the fastest, most like friction-free way to get there. Because
Yeah.
I'm a creator, I can complicate a system and I can complicate it all. But if I just like slow myself down and kind of go, what do I really need to have happen here? It
Yeah.
might be more boring, but at least it gets done,
Yeah, I will gladly spend hours in Canva designing flyers or postcards or whatever, as opposed to, like you said, calling my existing clients and saying, "Hey, haven't booked," or crafting a message to them and saying, "Hey, I
Yeah.
haven't noticed you kind of dropped off on the daily dog walks. Just wanted to see if there's anything that we can help you with, or if you're coming, if there's anything that you have questions about." Like really asking what's going to develop this more. And if we truly do believe that this is a relationship business,
Right.
we probably should be investing more in those relationships as opposed to the color palette on a postcard that I may never have been sending, right? Because it's just going to
No.
sit there.
I know. Exactly. I mean, you hit it on the nail there with the relationships, and I definitely want to get to that too, but before that, you just brought up an exact situation that in my personal life I had come up. I'm hosting a bridal shower for my cousin, and I know we need to, at bridal showers, you play games, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll need printouts or something to hand out to the ladies. And I'm looking on Pinterest and all the places, and I find some games through like Etsy, and it's $4 to buy the digital designed file. I still have to print it. This thing shows me everything it says. I could design this in Canva. I have a graphic design background. I mean, like I could do it. But I know the minute I get into that Canva account and start playing around, it'll be hours because it'll be fun, And so instead, I spent $34 on it, however many I needed signs and some games, and I just bought it to get the digital copies, and I'm gonna have to print it. At the time, I kind of felt like I was like, what's the word? Like almost like gypping myself of something I enjoy or a skill set I have, right? I was like, why would I do this to myself when why am I paying for this, right? But now knowing how little time I have and other priorities I have, I'm like, I'm so glad I can just print that stuff out and it's done. It was done in a couple seconds. So yeah, we can definitely, find ways that we can save time. Anyway, I derailed us.
No, you're perfectly fine.
You are at the end of the day. I have been on Zoom since 8:30 this morning in meetings and teaching, so I'm a little slap happy.
Okay.
Your listeners should know that. This should be a good conversation.
I say this is primo Candace is what this is. This is
no. Getting her, what is it, not unhinged, but no, uncut. No, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, Candace unhinged. No. No. Well, I know one thing that many businesses have started to do is use a word to describe their business, and it's premium. And I see this all of the time. And I was curious, kind of in your mind, what makes a premium business, and what are some things that when we talk about those relationships, what makes a premium experience for a client without us having to spend a bunch of money to make that happen?
Mm-hmm. So I like to also just look at my personal life and like when I feel like I have been treated well or I've had that premium experience no matter where it was. And the most recent few I can think of, it is always in how I'm either spoken to by the employee of that company, meaning it's much more it is much more relationship driven. Their guard is down. They're there to serve. They're there to help. They are there to make this the best experience possible for me. Right. If I'm thinking about like a hotel we went to recently, we did splurge on this hotel and it was amazing. But a lot of times you can think, oh, I'm going to spend all this money in this hotel and not actually notice why you're paying for that premium. But every single employee I interacted with, whether it was from the front desk person, which makes sense, to even the housekeeping who they brought ice. You couldn't even get your own ice on this at hotel. You had to call and have ice brought to you. That's how nice this place was. So I'm like, okay, but even then I needed a late checkout. Talk to the woman on the phone. She's making jokes with me. She's having the best time. It's not like she's not rushing me. She's not in a hurry, right? None of them were in a hurry. Then they took their time. They let me, it was like little nuances of just being a good human being and connected, feeling very connected to them. That was to me very premium. Certainly, there were things in that business that like the lighting and the chocolates and all the different things that was like really high end, but that costs money. But the most impactful thing that word of mouth, right, say, and this was the Park Hyatt in Chicago, so that we'll give them a name drop. So that word of mouth marketing, Park Hyatt in Chicago. But like it was the people. It was the people. Yeah. Okay. So we bring that back to premium services of like recently I hired, I have a mastermind at Pet Boss Nation, and I had them in my hometown of Galesburg, Illinois. And I wanted to transform they came to my home both nights. The first night was like a get to know you party, because they were meeting all in person for the first time. And the second night, because it was close to Halloween, I wanted to throw a surprise Halloween party. Okay. So I had to buy all the costume. Like we got little fun costumes they could put on, but I wanted the whole house transformed into a Halloween decor. And I was going to be with them all day at the event. Or teaching them all day in the conference room. So I had to hire people to come help. Now I'll tell you, I didn't, I was kind of nervous about this to begin with because they handled everything, but I was kind of like, I don't know, do you want to come over? And they did, they came over and they saw stuff, but they were like, we got it covered. We're done. We got no problem. Right. They show up at my house. I'm not even there when they show up. I have a team member go back to the house to make sure it's done and it's okay. And she's like, you're going to be blown away when you show up. I got back after that conference and I walk up like I was on a home makeover show. You should have had a camera on me. I was like, it's unbelievable, right? I was like blown away because one, I had hired the right people who are into like, they didn't have to have big budgets. They did a lot of cool stuff with lighting and certain things, right? It was great, but it was that impact and they made it feel very special. And so to me that had high value, right? It was this high value. They handled everything. It was very low stress to me. They had bought everything that they needed. They weren't asking me where my tape was. They weren't asking me where the hammer was. They weren't asking me where my ladders were. They had everything covered, right? I, the client, didn't have to think about anything. That's premium, right? Again, it's their high touch, right? It was like, and then the clients show up, they're blown away because they don't know how this all happened. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what my bill is going to look like. This is like going to be, and it was a little high. It was a little high, but I felt like it was worth paying for because of the experience that they had created for me. And then they stayed around, they checked up, they came back and helped take decorations down. So I'm giving those two examples. I mean, they're not pet specific, but we can do those things in pet care businesses, right? The human side of it, the calling. I know that it's easy to automate and we love automation and it's easy to leverage tech and we absolutely want to leverage tech, but we cannot get away from the human side of things. Yeah. We just can't.
No, I love that. You the first thing that popped out was when you said when you were on the phone with somebody and they weren't in a hurry, right? That feels so luxurious because it's like, oh, they're talking to it's me that they're talking to. Like they're not going, yeah, cool. Anyway, just a minute. No, yeah, Mr. Funkhauser, tell me about what your problem is. Let me maybe figure this out for you. Hold on, yeah. Oh, I see that. Like that really lets it know, most importantly, that it's important to you that it gets solved. And so when you get that phone call, you do have to put everything else aside as best you can, right? It's hard and go, I am talking to Candace right now and she's got a problem and I need to figure out and put this to bed, in some way to make this right or to understand at least why I'm getting this phone call and not just rush her off the phone until later. And then because that doesn't cost money to do. And I love that point of like, yeah, we're not I'm not increasing this. And because we think about this, and what does it mean to make a premium dog walk? Like, I'm going to buy a fancy leash, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
like, but,
Well, and I've been thinking about that because I know you wanted to talk about this of like how you can surprise and delight or,
oh yeah,
build raving fans. And it's really like, I think it's a few different things, but one of them, and especially in pet care too, it's like, yeah, how do you make that premium? How do you bring that in? And you might think, okay, am I going to give a treat every time I'm there? But it's not. I feel like it's not about even creating that premium walk. Like it's not about not selling non-premium walks and then selling premium walks. It's not that. I would rather you say my whole brand, my whole company, the entire experience, no matter how much you spend with me, is a premium experience. And then you're gonna just that way you're keeping that client with you versus them wanting to find or move over to a competitor or even to stop using the services, right? I mean, in the pet care industry, if someone works from home and needs to cut something from their budget, they're going to go, well, I guess I could go walk the dog. It'd probably be good for me to get out in the middle of the day. But we have to convince them, or they've got to love us so much and see us as high value to them, the perceived high value of the experience that maybe it's that we get to, I mean, I think about this even with my, we're very fortunate. I do have a nanny that is at our home that helps take care of my toddler. We're very, very lucky in that way. But I know that she knows like if I'm on meetings all day and I have to go upstairs to have lunch, if I can't be efficient in that time, I'm like the time I want to see my son, of course, but there are days where I just don't have the time. And she can like pick up on that and she can like move Carmine because he wants to be with me. But she can pick up on it that like mom's focused, mom's in the zone. Mom should have had lunch probably downstairs in her office. I don't know. But like she knows that like she needs to move him away because I cannot get pulled in because I just don't have the time. Right. It's like I'm at work, but I'm at home. So we have to find ways to say, well, there's value there in what we do and offer to people as pet care providers. If it is like coming in and maybe keeping the dog out for a little bit longer so they get more time, or being extra quiet when you're coming in, or figuring out what it is that they don't even notice that you're there, but the dog's taken care of and can rest now for the afternoon and sleep in the corner and not jump up during Zoom meetings or whatever. We don't know, but there's lots of ways that you can elevate your customer's experience that are just little nuances of life and not so much about buying something tangible.
Yeah, I love that. You said the example of like coming in and they don't even notice. Like we had a client who she had to stay home because her kids were sick and she was taking care of her kids. And when you're home and your kids are sick, like you don't really, and they finally get down for their nap. You will do a lot to keep them asleep, right? And the last thing you want is the dog walker to come in and be like, "Good morning, hey everybody,"
right?
Just clomping around. 100%. So just a simple thing is like always entering just with a little bit of shh and see what's going on. And then as soon as you recognize, let that have that space, take care of the dog, get out and be real quiet and let them have that. Like that was probably more valuable than the dog getting out and getting exercise anyway. Like
right.
Just that,
not disrupting the nap. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it is finding those ways of just how can I make this person's life better?
Yeah.
How do I, and expanding it beyond just this impact on the dog? Because at the end of the day, and I've said this a lot, but like I've never been paid by a dog for a dog walk. They've never reached into their pocket and pulled out their wallet to pay me. It's always a person that has the problem. Yeah. And their problem extends way more beyond than just the walk getting out to get some exercise. Like you can impact their life. It could be little things. Like if you're there later in the day and they're getting back later, flip on an outside light for them if that's, if they're comfortable with that, so that they have, I'm not walking into a dark house. That's really nice, right?
I love that you gave that example. That is my biggest pet peeve. When my husband turns all the lights off outside and it's nighttime, I like to have the lights on. It's more welcoming. So now he knows that if he knows I'm coming home from an errand, he goes and turns the lights back on, even though I know they've been off the whole time, but he does it just for me. So I don't have to come home to a dark house.
Yes. It's little things like we're talking about surprise and delight.
Yes. Yeah,
it's not going out and buying all the gifts or getting little cards or leaving treats or stuff like that. It's little life improvements all along the way that are really going to let the client know, man, this person understands me and actually is way more valuable to me than I ever expected.
Yes, 100%.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Doug from Bad to the Bone Pet Care has this to say.
Time to Pet has made managing my team and clients so much easier. Our clients love the easy-to-use app and scheduling features, and our sitters love being able to have all of their information organized and easily accessible. My favorite feature is the instant messaging. By keeping conversations on Time to Pet, we are able to monitor our team and ensure nothing ever falls through the cracks.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show will save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. And I know part of that is actually, as you're looking to this, because we do have to figure out for ourselves of like, what does that mean for us? And I know a great way to do that is getting like, client feedback about how we're helping them and stuff. Do you have any tips for how to collect that kind of feedback from clients so that we can make improvements to our existing services?
Yeah, I think surveying clients is a great thing to do. You can do it really simply through just a Google form, right? Go into it, create a Google form and send that out, and just think about, to your point of like why people like to hire you. What's the most value? I like to find out like what's the most valuable reason or service that they use. Not I guess not the most valuable service, but what's the most valuable thing you offer to them, or what do they like the most? And it might leave it open ended, right? Because they might say something like, that because you've never had these conversations. You might even take some clients and actually do a phone interview. See if you can buy them a just Starbucks or local company gift card to a coffee shop and just say, can we just jump on the phone for 15 minutes? I just want to talk about your experience with our business and be open to hearing feedback that you have. And I think and even if you can make it part of either an annual routine or quarterly or twice a year, just to check in would be good. We are launching a quiz for the first time. Okay. A quiz, but it's really more of an opt-in, right? To build a list versus like being used as a customer review or like survey feedback. But I could see a quiz potentially being a fun way to survey clients, like maybe even if it's like, what kind of a pet business are we? Take our quiz or something. I don't know. Or play around with it. Or maybe it's like, what kind of a pet parent are you? But through the types of questions you're asking, you're finding out more about the client, right? Like, what kind of a pet parent are you? You're finding out like, okay, wow, they want that concierge like service, or they care about the communication. Oh, these guys really need, they care about either deals, or these people care about time. Like time is very, like there are some people that are like, if you said my dog walk was at this time and you're not there, I'm sure that irritates them, right? And we have to train our clients that like, we need windows, right? We need flexibility, but there probably will still be people who that would prefer to know exactly what's happening. And so I think those personality types of a quiz, you could do something like that and even learn more about your customers, to try to identify even, are more of my customers in one personality type or multiple personality. And then speaking of, I think earlier you brought up finding your ideal client. Like if you enjoy working with those kinds of people, then let's go find more of those kinds of customers, or work with them. But I think a quiz could be a lot of fun too. But Google Forms is a great way, or the phone calls, or even, just a good old paper survey. Honestly, if you really need to, I'm going to go back old school. I bring this up because don't even do QR codes. I mean, you certainly could leave a flyer with a QR code that goes to whatever you want to do if you want to try to compile online. And maybe that makes sense for a lot of people. But I'm going to tell you right now, I just had a call earlier today with Super Zoo's education coordinator for director for all their education at the Super Zoo trade show, because we're going to be, I'm a speaker at that, and we're going to be involved in some things. And I was asking her just about like how many people go through the education area. And she's like, about 2,000 people on average, like buy tickets to go through the education. I was like, okay. And then she started talking about how they like to survey all of the attendees at this. And she said, we tried to go all digital last year, and it was the worst response rate we had ever gotten, compared to just handing people pieces of paper to evaluate the speaker in that session. And she's like, we're going back to paper this year. I was like, awesome. So I bring that because I think, like, again, you're a pet sitter in their homes. I think that you can hit it with lots of, obviously can email them as well as leave a paper, but we got to meet the customer wherever they are to get the information that we need.
Yeah. Well, because if we are looking to surprise and delight, create premium experience, we have to know who we're serving, right? True. We have to know, because you think about like, is this a quality time person, right? Are they worried about the time? Do they like little gifts? Do they just like the consistency? Because then
what's their love language, right?
Yeah, the love. Basically, you're trying to find the love languages of your clients. You could have them take that quiz, I guess, if you really wanted to. But but at least you're going, okay, because now I know what to do more of. Because now I can feed into that, because that's what they like. I can give them more of that as long as, again, it's not like, oh yeah, weirdly, all of my clients love it whenever I buy them $500 gifts. I don't think that's scalable. Okay.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. But you might have somebody who, wow, they're my first client does like it when I bring, like if they're home, right? Let's say coffee. You said the gifts, right? Like, so, I get them a coffee, their favorite coffee. When I get my coffee in the morning, I show up to my first walk, I bring them a coffee. Like that to them. I mean, that could be insignificant in price, but maybe don't do it every time, but it's like once a week, or you do something surprise and delight occasionally, randomly, whatever. But then somebody else might be like, why are you doing that? I already have, that's a waste of money. I make my own coffee, like, but so you really need to know your clients really well.
Do you recommend giving things away for free to incentivize those kind of feedback surveys, or do you just kind of leave it up to the goodwill of the clients to fill them out?
Yeah, I think that it's fun in an enticing way if you offer something as part of a prize. Not to every person. I think you can certainly do something where like everybody gets X. Like if you have something, let's say, this would be a great way that you could even partner with another local business, right? Like if it was another local retailer or a grooming shop or another type of a business that is looking to get in front of new customers or a potential audience, right? I think if you can get from them even a $5 coupon or $10 coupon or something, maybe it's positioned, it shouldn't be positioned as a coupon. It should be positioned as a gift certificate or a gift card to that business. But that gift card could go to every single person who fills out your survey, right? So I think that then they're motivated to do it. That other brand gets some exposure. It's a gift you've given to everybody to say thank you for taking the time to do this, and potentially it'll bring some business to this other business, right? And hopefully you can get those gift cards for free, ideally, because you're putting that brand in front of your whole list, even if they don't take it, right? They're getting that name dropped, right? And even if your list is only 20 clients, I think it's still worth exploring. And I also think it's worth these businesses doing it. Now, if you go to a PetSmart or Petco, that's probably, or Pet Supplies Plus, you're probably not going to be able to do that. I'm talking about supporting your local independents and finding a way. And obviously, I would start there with like people who you already either have a relationship with, or if this is an idea that you like, then you should start a relationship with some local business owners that are not competitors of yours to be able to network like this in the future, right? Because it's can be a little aggressive or off-putting when someone comes up to somebody else and is like, hey, can you donate this for my thing? And I don't know you at all, but anyway, that's a whole nother discussion, which we can have. But
Yeah.
the point is, though, is that I think you can give people, obviously, it's nice to give people something. I don't think you have to. And maybe it happens in the second round of like, okay, everybody, we sent it out, everybody submitted it, but all these people haven't. So what can we do to entice them to take it? Then you could give something to those people. Or you just say, everybody who takes the survey, all get entered in to win one or up to three prize baskets or gift certificates or a free day of a free walk or a free week of walks. Any of your clients, they're going to be really into comping them something, right?
Yeah.
That they already pay for. That's motivation. But you don't want to lose any income either if you can, if you can avoid it. So yeah, I think it's nice. I don't know that it's required, but it helps.
Well, and I like the idea of reaching out to other businesses as well, because that may turn into an ongoing relationship that you
Yeah.
have of maybe it's just becomes a standing thing of any of your clients get a little bit of a discount when they go to this
Yeah.
person or that person. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, again, the value add to your clients exponentially goes through the roof because of the
Right.
relationships that you've built. And
Yeah.
it's a perk of being one of your clients because of what they get and what they have access to beyond just your services. And that's something I know that I've struggled with of going, no, we have to be the be all end all highest value thing. And it's just what do we have to do within our little four walls here? Instead of thinking, no, I can expand. I can be the hub and spoke here to get people connected to
Yeah.
more resources, and so that the value actually is there in again those relationships.
Yeah. You certainly, any business can create their own kind of like, their perk list, right? So if a pet care provider was like, I'm going to find like two local retailers, two local groomers, a couple local veterinarians, and maybe even coffee shops, like it could be even any other friends that you have that have businesses, and put together a website page that's like, my clients get deals at these places, and they're deals that you've worked out. So there is a value add there. We at my doggy daycare, when I had one in Chicago, there was a tea company and they gave us little free cups of tea. Like it was a shaped like a cup of tea, but they were coupons that anybody who came for a grooming appointment, we could hand them a coupon to go down a couple storefronts down and get a free cup of tea while they waited for their dog to get groomed. And so they had a little cafe area where people could sit. Now, many businesses would just say, well, they're waiting anyway. Maybe they'll come down, and why would I give them a free cup of tea? I mean, think about how inexpensive a cup of tea probably really is, right? But they also sell a ton of other loose leaf teas, tea makers, tea swag that they're hoping someone's going to sit there and buy, or that they're going to come back when it's not their dog's grooming appointment, right? Because a dog grooming appointment only happens like every 6 to 8 weeks, if not farther out for some people. So anyway, the point is, there are local businesses you can work with. That was an example where we would give it to our grooming clients. We have another thing that we would do with like our welcome packets, which I'm sure you guys give to and doggy daycare, dog pet sitting. We did that too. But when people would come on as a new client, they would get like a welcome gift from us. And sometimes inside the welcome gift would be other businesses that we wanted to refer them to and deals, kind of like on that deal page, because it was a reciprocation of like what that business was also doing for us. Like maybe they were putting our flyers in their new client packets as well, or maybe they were sent an email for us or something, or had us on their website. Like there was some sort of mutually beneficial marketing relationship there.
How do you recommend starting those relationships? Because I know, again, this idea of cold calling or just opening a door to go talk to somebody, it's really intimidating. So how do we go about starting off on the right foot with those things?
Yeah, I think, it can start by just some local networking. If you can attend, I guess like if you don't want to walk into a business, let's start first with find out what kind of an event that might be happening in your area. Maybe the chamber is hosting something. Maybe you could even host your own pet business meetup at a coffee shop, right? Where you're just going to invite people there. I mean, that would be, and it might seem like, okay, yeah, you got to go in and invite them, but you could easily, we've done that in Chicago many, many times where we would be like, hey, we'd send Facebook messages. We'd just be like, there's some of us are going to meet up for coffee. If you want to come and meet, go ahead and come. And it's shocking, like who shows up, because it's like, they want it. Most people want to network and meet other people too, but they're all afraid to start it. Right. And then, but they go and, you go and then you might be able to say, okay, hey, get to know each other. And then it'll naturally come up towards the end, like, well, maybe we should collaborate. You're not specifically saying what, but you're like, hey, let's have a conversation. Maybe we can refer business. Okay, yeah, let's do that. And then you schedule another call, right? Or, I remember with my brick and mortar store, pet sitters would come in all the time and be like, hey, I'm new to the area. I just started doing dog walking. Can you hand my business cards out? And as a business, you're like, well, I don't know, who you are. Do we have any clients? That's like very risky for me to just basically say, here, use a stranger to come into your home. I haven't vetted them at all. Like it's weird. So not weird, but it's odd for a retailer to do that. And so we would always, to the person, we would say, sure. And we'd put them in the back and they'd never get handed out. We didn't want to make the person feel bad, but and looking back, I wasn't a business coach then. I probably would do things a little differently now, but it's like, I just didn't, we saw so many of them, of people coming in and saying that, I was in Chicago. But what worked was when dog walkers that did walk in our neighborhood would on the walk come and bring the dog to the store and just have an activity session or like sniffing session, or maybe even buy their client something. Cause then it comes up in conversation that, oh, this is a client. This is my dog I'm walking. I mean, heck, honestly, it could have even been your own dog. I mean, I probably wouldn't even have known, the dog walker's own dog. But like, just building that relationship, getting to know each other. And again, at that moment, it is not asking them to you're just meeting them, you're not asking them to refer business to you. And then, you might come by more, you're building that relationship. You might buy stuff for your own dog there from that business, or take your dog to that groomer, or take your dog to that veterinarian. And I think that that's the best place to start is where are you already using services, and where are those relationships that you already have developed? Or could you develop further, right? Like if you do shop somewhere for your pet supplies and it's not a local business, maybe shift part of your budget to that place. A lot of them really aren't that much more expensive, or even that expensive. Actually, some of them aren't even actually any more expensive, depending on what they sell and where they're located. But shift some of your dollars to buy stuff for pets to an independent business, and that will go really, really far for them. And they would be much more happy to start to refer once as they get to know you. And as they do feel like, I mean, a lot of people want to feel like they're being supported. And sometimes when it's a product-based business, that means you need to buy your products from them. And then they will refer you.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the taking the cards and then never distributing them. We years ago, were just really starting out, and I'd come in and we were one of those walkers. We were like, "Hey, we're new to the area. We want to blah blah. Here's some cards. Thank you so much." And then I remember we came back, like we did not foster this relationship at all. Like this is a bad example. So if you're listening to this, it's a bad example. Like came back like a year later and was like, "Hey, want to drop off some more cards for you?" The guy literally pulled the cards out, blew dust off of them, and was like, "Sure, I'll take some more," and then put. I was like, "Oh, I messed that up, right?
Yeah.
I really botched that."
Yeah.
Because you're right, they don't know you from anyone else, and it's a huge ask and huge risk to put that on them.
Risk it is, and but it can also, when it works well, it can be a huge opportunity for a pet sitter. I feel like, because that is, when you have a veterinarian or well, maybe groomers for sure, but then like stores for sure, it's like those pet parents are asking for referrals inside our businesses. And so once, I remember in the very beginning, I had a friend, she would come through and she would buy stuff for her own dogs at my pet boutique. And then she would just come by enough, maybe, just to she was friendly, really friendly. I knew what she did. And then I needed a dog walker. So then for my store dog. So then I hired her. And then I started looking at, so I trusted her because I would see her. And then eventually it was her walkers. It wasn't her. And then, but what was nice is that when people asked me for a referral, I was now so comfortable and confident to say, you absolutely need to call Dana, right? You're going to call Dana. This is your number. She's going to take great care of you, So then it's like, they know exactly, oh, wow, Candace knows this person. Great. So then when they say, oh, I was referred by Dogaholics, that was the name of my pet business. It was like, Dana knew, oh, this is a Dogaholics client, which means she's like, I have to really treat them really well. Well, I'm personally going to handle your meet and greet or whatever, like however you want to phrase it, right? It feels premium, feels like, and then Dana would be really good about when she needed a client gifts, whether the client was moving or was their birthday, she would come back to my boutique and buy the stuff. So we helped her really build her business and mutually, right? It was really good for both of us.
Yeah. I'll say our trick now, like what things that we do, we go through a lot of dog treats. So buying dog treats from local pet stores, great place for a lot of conversations. And you can really get a lot of feedback from the store owners about, hey, I tried these treats last time. Do you have any recommendations for this dog who's a little picky, or I've got this kind of dietary restriction? Man, the amount of conversation and trust building that comes from just that simple thing, because we don't always need harnesses or big leashes or these big things, but you go through a lot of treats, and you go through enough that you really need to, you see them a lot, and you can see a lot of businesses because of that. And it really is a great starting place for that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You never know. You might be able to even get those deals if you're buying enough treats, get them either maybe even at a major discount. Again, if you're going to do something back for that retailer and marketing, they can help you save some dollars on the product. But that should come after, you've developed that relationship.
Well, and that word there, develop. I think that's what's so important.
I like your word too, foster.
Foster. Yeah, you
both good.
Yeah, it's not just a flyby, great throwing cards, and I'll see you, and I'll have success from this. It's we're talking long term here, and really investing in that person and the success of their business.
Right.
One of the hardest parts of being a dog walker or pet sitter is when a client's pet passes away. We often are struggling with what to do. That's why our friends at Pet Perennials make it easy to send a heartfelt condolence gift directly to someone with a broken heart. They have this amazing direct-to-consumer gift model that takes the effort off of us and ensures a thoughtful, personalized sympathy gift reaches our client or even an employee on our behalf. All of their gift packages include a handwritten card, colorful gift wrap, and shipping fees across both the U.S. and Canada. They also offer an array of milestone gifts and greeting cards that can be sent to celebrate birthdays, extend get-well wishes, and welcome new and rescued pets. Additionally, there are gift choices in case you need to send a sympathy gift in memory of a special human client or celebrate a pregnancy, engagement, or wedding of a pet lover. If you're interested, register for a free business gift perks account to unlock the all-inclusive discounted package prices. The service is used on an as-need basis, so there are no monthly or annual obligations or minimum purchases. Learn more at petperennials.com. Check out their business programs or register for that free gift perks account by using the link in the show notes. Well, and I know a lot of this, we're talking about personalization and focus on our clients here. There is, a lot of people are now trying to use AI and technology in their businesses. And I was curious kind of your take on trying to mesh these two together and kind of where you're seeing success in this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. There's so many ways that you can use AI. I mean, specifically, even just ChatGPT or Claude. We like Claude as well. But, and I think that, again, it's not going anywhere necessarily, and it's not going to replace us either. I mean, it certainly can't in the dog walking dogs, but it can enhance maybe how we are presenting ourselves in certain scenarios, and it also can help save us time. And one of the ways that I think one of the best ways to do it is to build like a prompt inside of ChatGPT that really starts to learn about your business. You can talk to it about your business. Okay. So you could even ask a ChatGPT to tell them, I'm this, you can say, I'm a pet sitter in the city of Chicago and I have 5 employees and I want you to really get to know my business. Ask me 20 questions about my business that you would need to know to help me market my business. And so it'll spit back at you 20 questions. It'll be numbered 1 through 20, and you can just start responding. Okay, my answer to number 1 is this. My answer to number 2 is this. And then it learns about you. Okay. And then what's great is then you can expand upon it in that little like prompt, that whole like thread. It can stay there and you can start to add to it. Like, okay, well, here's my mission statement. Here's some copy from my website, just so that the AI gets trained about your business. So now what you can do is you can pull that up every time you need to write something. Okay. And it can reflect on it, or when you need to write like an email to a customer, or if you're like, I want to work on my my email response or a phone script. I need to work on my phone script to call somebody after they've had a meet and greet but didn't buy, or something, whatever it is. I met somebody and they didn't buy. Can you help me with a phone script? But they already know so much about your business. And so they're going to give you a phone script. You can even say, I have a client who has 3 little dogs at their meet and greet. They are really worried about XYZ health issues. And I want to answer any objections they might have. Like, can you help me with like, what would be objections they might come up with, right? Like, so you can use AI to help you in sales. You really can, to learn more in sales. Another way for our like bigger companies that I think is interesting, if you have, and it doesn't have to be bigger companies, but I've seen where a store's sales associates or the workers that are at that store, and this can work in pet care too, but are the ones scheduled and have to respond to reviews, like online reviews, right? And they are not comfortable crafting a response. So that was something that kept falling back on the owner, to whether it was a good response or a bad response. So they use their AI bot, again, knows the business, knows the customer, and can you copy and paste that person's review into the AI. And you can tell it what kind of response, and it will you can even say, give me 3 responses, and you can read which one you like the best, and as the owner of the business, you can say, I want them to always be polite and professional back, or you can go, I don't want them to be funny, or like, well, I don't know. You can be like, give them some sass back. No, I don't. Now that could be funny to see what AI would write, but yeah, I could. Anyway, I've even seen people use AI where they're like, roast my pet business, and see how it comes back at you, like, after analyzing things. So if it's just there to help you. And so I would encourage any listeners just to not be afraid of it, and to just start playing with it, and you'll be shocked. And once you start playing with it, you'll be like, oh my God, this is so cool. I mean, my husband now has it on his phone and he's always like, let's chat GPT it. I'm like, oh gosh, it's like a game now.
Oh no. It is.
Actually, here's another funny little. I'm gonna bust it. I'm right now on. I think so. My greeting cards have been so good. Like, he's been writing the nicest messages this last year, in whether it was a Mother's Day card or a Christmas card. And I'm like, I've been with you for 7-8 years. Like, this is a quick sudden change. But I'm like, but I'm not even gonna ask him if he's using ChatGPT to write it.
I wouldn't. Candace, just leave that. Let that lie.
I think that he really wrote it all. But that's another way you could use AI. How I need to write my client a handwritten letter and card at their house. Help me come up with a
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
And just little things like you mentioned of don't just give me one response, give me three,
give me
because
three.
then I can take it and adapt it a little bit, a little less just, I can put it more in my tone. But when you train it on your business, you
Yeah,
hear that you train it on your data, it's going, feed it information, give it
you know,
copy, give it your brand colors, give it your mission
yeah,
statement, give it, a logo, give it the feel that you want, the vibe,
yeah,
so that when you have the emails that you need to send, it's all consistent, because that is really powerful when we talk about the power of branding
yeah.
and making people recognize who you are, is that level of consistency that sometimes when it's 10 p.m. and I'm trying to craft something, that ain't happening. There's no consistency there. Like
Right,
brand goes out the window.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's so fun too because you can asking things like, and even if you don't like it, like I think I remember in the beginning when I was using it, it was so formal, and I'm not
Yes.
a formal speaker, and and so I needed it to become more conversational. So you can even respond back, like, please be more conversational, or, please add more humor in this response, or I like this one, but I'd like to see three more options. Or, again, you can just keep it having it go deeper, um, and so you get something that you like.
Well, and in those examples that you gave, they really are in kind of a back and forth with it. It's not just write me a blog about XYZ thing because I'm trying to boost the SEO on my website. It really is help me solve this, help me market to these people, or help me overcome this problem, or understand what's going on. It does become that great. It sounds like it can become that great assistant that a lot of us just don't have access to otherwise.
Right, right, yeah, 100%.
Well, and it sounds like it helps lean into that personalization, because now I am able, that example you gave of I'm just inundated with these reviews, or I'm inundated with these stuff, and I just can't respond back to them. Well,
Right.
all of a sudden now your response rate can go through the roof because you can have help generating and coming up with good responses to these. So you're not having to generate all
Right.
of that.
And don't I think that, and I'm of an age maybe where I feel like that can feel like you're cheating, right? Like you're cheating because you're using this for that purpose, and there isn't, let's say, a human that's writing that. But like honestly, it's about when I say cheating, it's just because we grew up in the era without tech, right? I'm Gen X, so it's like I've had, growing up without tech, and then my adult life has been tech. But so I feel like it's cheating because I want to be able to deliver that stuff, or I want a human in my business doing those things. But that really isn't now with technology, and it's just way more efficient. You can optimize things so much faster. You're not spending your time doing those things, or you're not stressing out about how someone's going to respond, right? It is actually something that could be delegated and posted, or you could do it quickly and then move on to the next thing that can actually go generate you even more money, or that you enjoy doing more than that. So it is about time saving techniques and optimization. There's so much technology out there now that can help us, right? Still do a really great job. I don't think that it's cheating in the sense of using it sometimes like that for your business, but I know it can kind of feel like that.
It can't. Yeah, I think there was a time recently where we had something on Facebook, and a lot of people were just giving, like, I could tell it's kind of like, oh, that's just the Facebook auto generated response, and then we
Mhm.
were responding with like an AI response to the response, and I was like, oh no, the computer's just talking to themselves. I need to take a step back for just for just a moment. Oh no.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
but it is just that tool that you can lean into to help increase and enhance that interaction that you have with your clients, so that they feel seen and that you're able to meet those needs where maybe you weren't able to before.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think AI and they think, oh, it'll just solve all of my problems and it will route plan for me, it'll handle it, just everything will be automatic. But it really is just more about going, no, I do have an assistant to help me through that stuff. Well, Candace, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today and walking us through these things, encouraging us to lean into those business opportunities and collaborations that we have, while also enhancing the value that we can provide through our clients through the partnerships that we build and our interactions with them, whether they are AI enhanced or not, right? It's just about making it sure that it's better. I know that you have a lot going on and there's a lot that you're involved in. So how can people get in touch with you and follow along with everything?
Sure. So if you are looking for some business support and help, whether it's for sales, marketing, or leadership operations, or if you're looking for a community to that kind of has coaches around you to support you, please join one of our programs. Our Pet Boss Nation University right now is open for enrollment until the end of the month. And of course, if you came and told me that, Pet Sitter Confessional sent you to us, of course we would let you in behind the scenes. But so that's our program. We also on our podcast, I would love, love, love for you, if you're listening right now, to go find our podcast. And it's called the Pet Boss Podcast. And you can find it on all streaming platforms. Please come follow us. We have something fun and exciting happening soon for the podcast. It is kicking off, I think, on February 1st. That's the plan. I know we are January 9th recording this right now. So my future self is very hopeful that it happens as I'm saying it. But the plan is that February 1st, I think through the 5th, is a kind of a daily dose of kind of an interesting workshop where we're encouraging you to fall back in love with your business again, right? Like it's on the theme of Valentine's Day, but to fall back in love with your business or what it means to truly be in love with your business. And we're focusing on that theme. So there'll be a daily podcast, and then there's going to be a live podcasting room. People will get invited to come to a live recording on a Zoom room of the podcast and participate and ask questions about their business. So we're excited about that. So you'll hear all about it on our podcast. So visit us at the Pet Boss Podcast.
Okay, well, I will have that link, those links to Pet Boss University and the Pet Boss Podcast on the show notes and on the website, so people can get connected and start following along with all those resources. Candace, this has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate your time today coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you, Colin, for having me.
How do we create raving fans? When we focus on the people. Candace said that the human side of business is irreplaceable. Real connections build loyalty and define a premium experience. When we remember that there's somebody on the other end of that phone call that needs our help, there's somebody who has concerns or biases or needs or preconceived notions and worries that we can help with, that really helps build that trust and allows people to relax and see that they can be taken care of and we can meet their needs with excellence. And that is something no amount of money can buy. We want to thank today's sponsors, Time to Pet and Pet Perennials, for making today's show possible. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.